And let me ask you, because the follow-up question now is, because this is the biggest thing, is my understanding, the doctored pictures. Because it seems that the pictures that were presented to the jurors were not in correlation to what was being spoken about by the witnesses themselves in this proceeding. That, you know, one person I've spoken to said that the two didn't match whatsoever. What were your thoughts on these pictures, please, and elaborate?
Well, the pictures showed the bar, inside of a bar, and it would be as if you or I went there to take pictures of the place. And the way it's set up, it wasn't like it was things all out of order and disheveled or anything like that. It looked like everything had been, in a sense, cleaned up, put in its place, and there was no blood or anything like that to be seen, you know, of the crime scene itself. And then they showed us pictures of the outdoors. Basically, it looked to me as if they were just showing us pictures of what the place looked like, but not what the place looked like when this stuff had happened. As
a crime scene.
Right.
I understand. So it's like almost as if you were getting pictures if you wanted to buy the place from a realtor.
Right.
Huh. Instead of the pictures of a crime scene.
Yeah, there was no chairs or tables turned over. Everything was in its place. If this was a table, you had chairs on this side, chairs that over there.
No beer bottles or glasses or anything on
no, nothing.
Nothing.
Out of place.
Nothing.
No.
And that you found that strange.
It was very strange. If there was a fight and someone was murdered, then you would think that from the areas in which they said things happened, from their pool table area to the door area, that you would think with because they had this guy down, they were kicking him and everything else, so you would think that the pool table itself would have been moved.
Right.
More than just a one person beating on him. It was quite a few. And from what I understand, the main guy also had some Timberland boots while he was stunned, so he couldn't even feel what he was kicking or hitting. But man, BJ, I think his name was down there getting stumped down and everything else, until he finally got up to get hold of a pool stick to defend himself. And from there, everything ended up getting outside and everything got really crazy.
And okay, I understand. With these, but if you could though, when it comes to these pictures, could you please be just a little bit more specific as to anything else that you might have found out of the ordinary besides the fight, you know, not being shown by these pictures?
Well, the pictures that BJ, I guess, supposed to have submitted that showed his injuries and things. Those pictures, to me, was what created the problem. Because it created a problem within myself, and that, again, I was holding out based on what I've heard. My whole thing was this man was defending himself, defending his wife, and protecting her and his friends that were there with him. And if you're down on the ground getting kicked and everything else, you're going to have bruises and things over your body. And the pictures that I saw of him had that. The only thing that was bad, if you could call it bad at all, was the date that was on the pictures. And the date of the pictures was 2005, I believe it was, and the date this incident was supposed to take place was 2007. But also at that time period, I didn't know myself. I kind of thought, but I didn't know for sure that you could change dates and things on digital cameras. Just like with the video camera, you could set the date, time, and all that stuff is rolling.
Yeah.
And there are times when you would like say you're taking a video. I guess with me at the beginning, I didn't know that if you were checking that time or had it on there, that it was going to be printed on the tape itself. And I did one in which was did one in 93, but the date on there was 95. So
Gotcha.
here it was it was way advanced.
So the evidence that they were being submitted, coming in, was not only it didn't match the scene. There are different dates and times on it. I mean, again, this evidence coming in from one area, a doctor area, this Laverne doctor. Again, it's just, listen, I don't want to put my own things. This is, your thoughts on it, but it just strikes me with all of that going on. I mean, so much different photographic evidence as opposed to witness statements on both sides. To me, it seemed like it was like a free-for-all or a romper room. I mean, what were your thoughts on the overall proceedings then? Like, did it strike you that way?
Well, it was kind of confusing at that point, when, again, when you're talking about a crime scene where someone got killed and people were fighting and all. Again, you look for things, you just look for things to be as if there was a fight going on, or at least a fight had happened. There was nothing like that in the pictures. It was too clean, and things were too much in their place. It was like people just cleaned up the place, took pictures of it. And so those things there kind of threw people off in the way. You're expecting to see. I'm expecting to see blood. I'm expecting to see what the pool cue that was probably used in this thing. I mean, the evidence of the things that were used. Then you're showing a picture of the door to exit, and again you got to push to get out. So he's holding the door to keep them from getting out on him. And we show that little area, but again, we should have been. This is the area right before he was stabbed. So if he was stabbed on the inside of the place should have had some blood or something on, because again, you say the blood was just squirting all out. And
according to that, then with the picture evidence, nothing made sense then.
Right. If the blood is squirting all out, it's going to be all over the place.
I would think.
There's going to be something somewhere.
Right?
Even if they're cleaned up, if they do lit enough pictures, you may still find some, but it was cleaned up really well.
So God only knows then when they took those pictures, because if it was that clean, that really is saying something. That's really saying something. And finally we were speaking, about obviously there was inappropriate contact, at points with with jurors and other people. But again, we had heard that there was a woman who felt she couldn't continue. She had asked twice to leave because she had overheard those things. Do you remember at all what she discussed or whom she discussed it with when it was brought back into the jury room?
I didn't hear her go to any particular person to talk about that. I know that there was someone who definitely wanted out. No, I personally didn't know it was her. Okay,
but they didn't she didn't, at least not to you, but it wasn't like a general topic between everybody?
No.
So it could have only been maybe between a few people then or whatnot. So it does require a little bit more digging, because I would love to find out, from my own point of view, what she actually did hear. You know what I mean? Not that it much matters, because again, if there's the juror that feels they're tainted and can no longer continue, procedurally there's two alternates. That juror is supposed to be relieved after the judge goes through, well, what is it that you heard? And procedurally they're actually supposed to grab a video camera, videotape this person, find out what the hell happened, and then make a decision as to whether or not they really are tainted or not.
But they didn't show the rest of us jurors anything about that or talk to us about that?
Nope. As far as I'm aware, were you aware of any of that?
No.
No. So again, procedurally they didn't handle this correctly, but again, listen, we're just speaking to what we know here. Now, one more time again, knowing now that the Laverne doctor, their lead detective on this case, was, from their nation, do you feel that it was appropriate for him to have been handling those pictures and all that evidence? And maybe I don't know, I don't want to be leading, but to me it would make sense as to why all the things that you were just saying with these evidence, these pictures being almost like doctored, why that would be the case. Again, don't you feel that might be a conflict of interest?
It had to be a conflict of interest if this man is from the same nation, representing the people that he's representing. I mean, right there's a bias.
And he worked in the DA's office.
Yeah.
And does that maybe
gotten someone else?
You think they should have gotten somebody else?
Yeah, to take his place.
But I don't know.
I mean, especially when the DA's office had to know where that he's part of that nation.
Well, of course they're going to know. I mean, he was. My understanding was that he was a liaison of sorts between the two. So again, they enjoyed him, and on television publicly, the district attorney, not the ADA, called him the finest police officer that he knows, the finest cop that he knows, and he was a great man. In between, he did a lot of work for us and in the Onondaga. So you're right, there was no way they even admitted it on television that they knew. So there's no question to that. But you think it would have been better for you and the rest of the jurors to have known, correct?
Yes, for sure.
Huh. And
that's something that's really important for a case like this.
I mean,
it's someone's life that you're
exactly
dealing with.
And again, beyond that,
I know someone lost their life, but then, I mean, where's it going to
balance out? Yeah.
You take a life for a life, or do you listen to the information of the things that really took place, and then weigh it all out? Because again, thinking back to the trial, thinking back about what the Native Americans were doing earlier that day, and this guy getting off from work, coming home to his wife and his new child, because it was Father's Day, that was the reason why it went out. And his wife, cousin had just came over, and
we're talking about Benedict, BJ.
Yeah, and some other friend that he hadn't seen in quite a while had stopped by. So, in a sense, yeah, let's go and have this here drink and all, and this will give him a chance to talk to his friend he hadn't seen for a while. His wife and cousin didn't talk, and this will be his Father's Day drink. But I guess that pros where they went to at first was not happening at that time, where not people there or nothing, so they ended up leaving, going to another bar. From what I understand, Swallows or something over on the South Ave area.
Okay. And this was who? This was
BJ's wife and her cousin. And
so they had first gone to another bar, and then they'd come.
They went to Pros, and they left that one to go to another bar.
Okay.
And
after.
This was before any fighting, anything had even.
Oh, okay. So this is before any fighting.
Yeah.
Okay. So in fact, if you could, this is actually good. As per what your recollection is, could you go over, relay what your understanding of that night was?
The man get out of work, comes home, his wife's cousin's there, and they're talking about things, and she wants to take her cousin's husband out for Father's Day drink.
Okay.
And a friend of the father's, he hadn't seen in a while, came by at the same time, and BJ had just gotten off from work, and so they were all talking about what they're going to do, and also they all decided to go out and have this drink. So they left his house, and then they went to Pros to have a drink, and I guess they had a drink, and were going to play pool, play a couple of games of that or something there. Then they left there, and they went over to another bar, Swallows, the one in Sam, on South Ave. And they were there for a while, and then they left there to go back over to Pros. And when they got there, I guess this is when BJ was saying something about, after the other two had gotten out of the car, he told his wife that he was really tired and didn't want to stay there long or something. So they went on in, and as they went inside, BJ, he went to the bathroom. The other two that came in before him went to the bar to order drinks. His wife went in to find a place for them to sit over near the pool table, because they were going to play some pool. When he comes out of the bathroom, there's some guy feeling all over his wife and everything. So he runs over there, get the guy off his wife, and want to know what this stuff is all about. That's how everything more or less started. So now he's in this argument with this big guy who been feeling all over his wife, and now some other guys come over with the big guy, and
Native
the
American,
Native
huh?
American guy, yeah. And so all of a sudden now, a fight breaks out. BJ grabs a stick, and swinging it back and forth, trying to keep them off of him. I guess then his wife, cousin, and friend get behind him. They're on their way out the door. As he's swinging the stick, and someone says something about he's got a knife. And when they say he's got a knife, they were talking about Native American.
Mr. Printup.
You're right. And so at that time, BJ, who was a roofer, reaches into his pocket and pulls out his knife. So now, as far as this is where, in my mind, everything turns to self-defense. Because this man's been feeling on his wife, goes there to find out what's going on. He gets jumped, he's getting beat up, finally gets up to get a stick. He's trying to get himself out the place, because all these guys, people are going to, if they can get to hold of him, they're going to beat their living daylights out of him, period. So I guess he gets himself out to the door area. And again, it's when someone yells about there being a knife. They pull their knives, and BJ sticks the guy. Now, since he's got caught first, he's bleeding. All the people there that are friends of his, attention now turns to him.
And how many times did he stab him, by the way?
Once, from what I understand.
Okay. Just once. Okay.
Yeah. And then, so everyone now attention is on that guy, which gives BJ a chance to get through the two doors and take off. So I guess they all take off in different directions, and all end up meeting over at BJ's house. And from there, they go to another bar on the north side to decide what they're going to do about all these things, all the stuff that's taking place.
Okay, so it wasn't like they were trying to celebrate or anything like that. They just,
No.
they were all crazy because of what just happened, and they needed to gather themselves.
Right.
And they didn't figure that, you know, their house, I guess, was close by to that place, was a good place to be doing it.
Exactly.
I see. I see.
So after they were at the bar or whatever, I guess they must have been, BJ called his lawyer, who convinced him to turn himself in. And which is what he did the next morning, and all from what I understand.
Yeah, that's what I understand too, absolutely. Mr. Thompson, I just want to thank you.
Jackson.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Jackson. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Again, this, you know, for taking your time out to illuminate, especially a lot of things I've learned from you today. Again, I thank you so much for your time. Again, we're going to conclude this interview. I'm going to sign off. This is Matthew Amouyal, who was the interviewer. On today's date is
27th.
The 27th. Thank you. June. What the hell is wrong with me? December. I'm bad with dates, everybody. Forgive me. December 27th, 2013, at approximately 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock in the a.m. hour. Again, Mr. Jackson, I appreciate it so much. It's a pleasure and a privilege to speak with you. I'm going to, how do we stop this thing here?